Yo, how's it going everybody? It's me, Arctic. Today's video we're going to be going over a complete sub DPS guide for Kokomi. I think this is probably her best kind of role generally because if you do go the healing route, you are going to be able to get all the healing you need for your team. However, going a sub DPS route, you're still going to be able to actually heal your team, and she's also going to supply some valuable sub DPS to the team. Since Kokomi isn't released in the game yet, we still have some very limited and not necessarily correct information, so this is just going to be with what information that we have right now, but I will try my best to make a kind of guide on generally what her playstyle is going to be, and also like basically what are going to be the best things to use on her as a sub DPS. But if you guys are new to the channel, remember to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're making some pretty good progress. It really helps me out a lot. But anyway, let's get back to the video. So the main thing that we're looking at when we are trying to use Kokomi as a sub DPS is going to be her elemental skill. Her E-spell does is it summons Bake Kugure, and this is created the water that can heal enemies. And what this basically does is it deals hydro damage to surrounding and opponents and heal active characters at fixed intervals. The healing is scaled is based on Kokomi's max HP. And so there's been a lot of like confusion slash like unsure about this ability right here, because we don't know if the ripple damage right here is actually based on her max HP or if it's based on just her attack, which it's most likely going to be based off of her attack. However, if it is based off of a max HP, this could be extremely good as a sub DPS kind of ability. But a pretty long duration of 12 seconds and a cooldown of 20 seconds, so you can think of this kind of like an Oz in the fact that it's basically going to have about 50% uptime, and but this also doubles as a healing ability right here. This does scale off of HP. We're going to be seeing a lot of big sub DPS numbers from Kokomi, and if it scales off attack, we're going to be seeing a lot of smaller, more close to like official in terms of actual sub DPS with this ability. And so basically when we are going to be choosing weapons for Kokomi, we're going to choose basically things that revolve around like attack or HP depending on which build you're going for. And guys, keep in mind also that Kokomi can't possibly even crit with her basic normal crit stat. She really can't crit with her crit stat, so crit damage doesn't really help you at all, and crit rate actual applied doesn't really help. There have been some speculation that maybe a 4-piece cryo would work if you use her in a cryo team comp, and I am going to actually be testing that out day 1 on this character when I do roll for them, because I'm thinking that I'm probably going to roll for them, especially if they do scale off of HP with their sub DPS abilities, but I'm thinking she's probably going to scale off attack, so there's a few options for that in the weapons. Right off the bat, stuff like Blackcliff Agate, Favonius Codex is kind of off the table. However, we can basically open our ideas to stuff more so like Mappa Mare, which comes with Elemental Mastery, and also like triggering elemental reactions gives you some extra elemental damage bonus. So it's not that bad of a weapon actually, because basically it's going to be somewhat usable on Kokomi. And if she is a sub DPS and using with her like Pyro characters, you're going to be able to do some like vaporize numbers with her sub DPS. Prototype Amber is a pretty decent option. It basically can give you some HP and regenerates like some energy, which is pretty alright. Although we are going to be focusing more on like sub DPS, so I think that in terms of sub DPS, stuff like the Wine and Song can be a pretty decent option, because it basically is going to increase your stamina consumption for your sprint and give you some extra attack, and also energy recharge is nice there. Eye Perception somehow becomes pretty good, like because of its passive right here. It basically allow you to trigger some extra damage when you're swapping in, and it has attack percent, so it could be pretty decent for sub DPS. Hakyushin Ring I think is probably going to be the best in terms of using her with Electrocharge team comp, just because of its passive right here, which will basically increase your elemental damage by 10% for both parties included in the Electro reaction. So basically if you use Kokomi as a sub DPS for like Raiden, or like a Yai or something like that, or if even official in your team as well, what you'd basically be doing is increasing like your official's damage by 10% and also your Kokomi's damage by 10%. And yeah, this is probably the best 5-star option for this character in terms of sub DPS, because it increases your elemental damage bonus by 12, and also normal attack hits have a 50% chance to earn the favor of the clouds. You can basically auto attack every 30 seconds to trigger this, and it'll give you a little bit more DPS. It has a very high base attack, which is going to be nice, and it comes with an attack substat, so you're gonna get a lot of damage off of that. The last weapon right here, which is actually going to be on Kokomi's weapon banner, is the Everlasting Moonglow, aka the Diamond Visage. It's been changed to Everlasting Moonglow. But what this does is basically not necessarily as good for sub DPS, however it's more so for like main DPS Kokomi, because its passive basically gives you more healing bonus, which Kokomi it converts to like auto attack normal damage. But this also increases your normal attack damage based on your max HP, so it's actually pretty interesting. And its base attack is pretty alright, and then it goes to 49 HP. Best artifact choice to use on sub DPS Kokomi, there's like a few things that are pretty good. One of those being like the Wanderer's Troop. The Wanderer's Troop basically it gives you some elemental mastery. It also increases your charge attack damage by 35% if they use a catalyst or a bow. So if you are going for like charge attack, vaporize damage, it can actually be pretty decent. And also its elemental mastery is good for sub DPS as well, because if you are running her in like electric charge, it could be pretty good. Or if you're running her with vaporize. Again, I think if Blizzard Strayer is actually a set that can potentially work, I think that Blizzard Strayer is probably going to be her best in slot set, just if you are running her with like cryo team comps basically. Because when the character attacks opponents affected by cryo, their crit rate is increased by 20%. If the opponent is frozen, you get an additional 20% crit rate. And now the great thing about this is that it doesn't actually apply to your character specifically, it applies to the damage you're doing. And so basically what that's going to allow you to do is to get around Kokomi's negative 100 crit rate and actually apply crit rate to the enemy that's frozen basically, and also be able to get that extra crit rate. So effectively with Blizzard Strayer set you'd potentially be able to get up to, let's see, 55% crit rate if you are using like Cryo Resonance and the Blizzard Strayer strat on Kokomi. So it'd actually change for your build. You could potentially run like crit damage on your stuff. I think that would actually be a pretty decent way to go. You could actually run crit damage with like a Blackcliff Agate or something, and I think that would increase like your DPS by quite a bit. But yeah, it generally probably won't work, but I'm very hopeful that it might work. Also use like a 2-piece Heart of Depth. I think that would be pretty good. 2-piece Heart of Depth, and then like a 2-piece Glad or something. Yeah, or you could use like a 2-piece Shimenawa set, or even a 4-piece Shimenawa set. I think 4-piece Shimenawa set is going to be pretty decent on her. If you are going for like some auto attacks on her, it does increase your auto attack damage by a lot, and Kokomi's burst isn't necessarily that crazy. However, it is used mainly for her DPS, so it's going to be a little bit yikes in terms of actually trying to get this up time for her elemental burst. I think it's a little bit harder to use, kind of like how using this on a ball doesn't necessarily work as much. And one with Severed Fate really isn't that useful because it's like her burst doesn't really do much damage. It just has an initial like little bit of damage. But yeah, that's basically it for the video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. I will be doing a complete build guide for Kokomi starting at like probably next week, and then I'll also be doing a complete Koji Sara build, and then a complete ball build, and then a complete let's see, whatever's the last character, Aloy, I think I already did like a compilation build, the complete ball raiden build, but like that's basically just a compilation. I might do one that's more detailed, and yeah, I might do one that's a little bit more detailed. But anyway, it's been me, Arctic. I will see you guys next time. Farewell.